we're going to have to talk about those purge energies. A warm welcome to all of you to the energy update for week 6, that is the 5th till the 11th of February, called Silent Complicity. Yes, these titles that I give these weeks, it's sometimes a little hard to see what I mean with this complicated word. Sometimes I do word plays. Silent complicity refers to a process where we, due to our inaction or passivity, can allow things to happen. And sometimes, even enable them unconsciously through behaviors that we're not fully aware of. So this is one of these things that are coming forward here as sort of hidden things that we need to deal with here in the coming weeks of February, namely our own involvement, our own part in things. And of course, it's not a very nice experience at first when we realize that, here is something coming that I should have seen this coming, or I literally was oblivious to it. And for many of us here still dealing with Omicron and vaccines and mandates and all this palaver about the pandemic that is now slowly coming to an end here, at least from the perspective of some countries, the UK, Ireland, Denmark, Sweden, and more to follow here really on a day-to-day basis who've declared, and not actually the infections be over, but the pandemic to be over. It's endemic now, which means it's at a state where it's clear that everybody's going to get it, everybody's going to have to go through it. And due to the mildness of this latest COVID variant, people feel confident to get through this. Yeah, so many of us already went through this. And that's also part of the purge, because we have been so afraid of this day coming where we, have COVID, or someone we know, and some of you went through this several times already, and some of you never, okay? But it's this fixation, this obsession really with COVID here in our social media and mainstream media world, and all the scandals and all the stuff that is coming up along with this, this freedom of speech and censoring and paid fact checking and all these kind of things. They have all led us in a state of confusion, cognitive dissonance, as I've called this. And if you go a little back here in my YouTube channel, you'll find some treasures. You find some very, very cool truth talks about how this happens. How can we get so fixated on something that we cannot see the forest because we're too focused on the tree? Yeah, so the new moon that we all went through here in these last days, still kind of working in our bodies. Yeah, you'll probably feel really, really sluggish, really, really kind of heavy in your body, kind of slow to move for various reasons. But it really is this new or newer, this higher vibratory energy that is coming in right now, that is showing us how inert our bodies and also our minds are. So it's typically, from the individual's perspective, not a nice process, but it is something that is helping us to move forward, guys. So you have to understand that these triggered things in you, maybe a little bit frustration, depression even, like really feeling like a victim, really feeling like, haven't been misled, really feeling, gaslit, and also perhaps feeling a little bit of unconscious, well, I don't want to say guilt, but it is something that triggers something in us, namely, like, what was my stance in all of this? And obviously what this does to a collective, not to us individually, because you guys are energetically sensitive, and you are seeking truth, you are engaging with your inner truth in a way that allows you to realize this quicker, or at least to have an inkling here and knowing when things aren't true, or as I've always called it here throughout the last years, yeah, when you are confronted with untruths. So you may have an instinct here that tells you that you can't fully trust in this, but it still leads us to externalizing our power if we are not careful. And this is something that we've just went through here at transCODES with our grace manifestation marathon. You know, these deeper layers of how we actually manifest, of how we allow things to be put out through us without being aware of it. So all these unconscious manifestations in our lives that we now have to look at. So this is the nature of this purge, guys. It's like, oh my God, the shock of what you see on the outside, and then all of a sudden, sort of a double shock of how you're seeing how you have actually participated in this, or what your part in this was. Right, so there's a seriousness that is coming in here this week, and we've, been able to see this maybe through stuff like the Freedom Convoy that started in Canada and has spread out, into different countries. And the way mainstream media and the governments are handling this is quite concerning. Yeah, this is a big movement. These guys have raised $10 million in a GoFundMe, I think, within a week. Okay, this is not like a small minority or fringe dwellers. These are thousands and thousands of professionals, truckers, yeah, out of all, groups in the population who are demonstrating against mandates in Canada. And this is a huge, big deal. So for the governments to respond to it, that's nothing. And if they report about it, show swastikas and sort of leftist or rightist radicals, calling it unlawful and stuff like that. Guys, this is concerning. This is serious, okay? So this is no longer fringe dwelling stuff. This is no longer conspiracy stuff. This is, history in the making right now. Yeah, and we are observing this. So as energetically sensitives, we have always been feeling this mismatch between what we are experiencing as portrayed truths and how this feels within ourselves. And it is now basically coming to a more mainstream awareness. Okay, so again, here I've mentioned this many times already. We got to understand that this inertia, from actually realizing these things to translating into actions, translating into conscious manifestations, always takes a while, and that is often a very painful process, because your awareness is already there, but you can't really put your finger on it yet. You're realizing how your own fixations, your own, obsessions, with your own stuff, yeah, or perhaps even your coping mechanisms, your addictions, your checking out and so forth, actually has pulled you into this as well. All right, and now it's almost like a time of reckoning, although I don't like this word, because it's still externalized. So this is about you coming clear with this, with you, coming to terms with your own limitations. Yeah, so the limitations of your mind and your psyche, because yes, I've laid it all out to you how this happens, that we can get mind controlled. And this is not a matter of intelligence. Yeah, this is actually affecting people who are very rational and very intelligent in a more severe way, because you have a tendency to identify with your thoughts. Okay, and this is the problem now. Yeah, so your thoughts were more or less fabricated, and dealing with that now, this is typically what we call gaslighting, brings up, a lot of anger and a lot of frustration, and we'll see this in this week more so than we've already seen last week. But many of you are also seeing the positive side of this, because you're seeing and feeling, it's more a feeling thing, the release and relief when truth finally gets uncovered. This is often something that we have not experienced in our lives, because many of us have this sort of gaslighting trauma, yeah, that we've been told that we're crazy or fringy or whatever. And so we've accepted this as a norm, that we constantly question our perception. And it is very relieving, when we finally see that other people see what we see too. This is also the value of these kind of communities that we formed here around the Sacred Self-Healing Program. Yeah, it's not about finding an echo chamber, people who have the same opinion as you. No, it's about finding people who want to see and think the same way as you, yeah, but still maintaining their own individuated free thinking. Yeah. So in order to tap into this power to break through these barriers of perception and mind control and gaslighting, we need a clarity. So clarity is the power behind that. And for clarity, we need truth. And this is still sort of cooking, okay? This is still all coming forward. In fact, there will actually be more next week, when we will have to deal with the ramifications of, I want to say, more hidden truths coming forward. All right, hidden doesn't always mean that there was somebody consciously or, actively trying to hide it. Hidden often also means that there were things in plain sight that we couldn't see. Okay, so this is more the nature of that hidden truth. Yeah, that is coming forward here. And to break through that, we need the clarity of discernment for this. Okay, we need to know what truth feels like within ourselves. And even if we can't put a finger on it, sometimes we can just say, well, I'm not sure if I buy into this. Yeah, I'm going to have to feel this out more, or I'm going to have to do some more research, okay, to come to my own insight about this. This is the phase that we're in right now, okay? And it isn't until you really, really feel that what you are seeing matches up, yeah, with what you have been feeling. And the tricky part about our manifestation is that when we unconsciously manifest, meaning autopilot, meaning, comfort zone, meaning just trying to maintain what we have, meaning, checking out, taking no risks, and accepting things that are against our inner integrity, that are not actually matching up with what we truly need or what we truly want, is that it corrupts us. It corrupts our values. Yeah? And so it happens that it's a gradual process, that we gradually allow the deterioration of, basically our standard of truth. Okay, and this is where we have to kind of go within of it and listen to, our inner guidance that, if we're truly honest with ourselves, has been telling us a lot of things all along. But for whatever reason, maybe because we didn't trust ourselves enough, or because we had to catch so much criticism or punishment from the outside growing up for this, we could not imagine a different world. And this is now, guys, what I really, really want you to feel into. I want you to understand that this breakthrough energy is already there for us, okay? So from here on, yes, it's not going to go overnight. Yeah, it's going to take a year and a half. But, from here on, things are going to move forward. They're going to move toward more clarity, more truth, and also dealing with the ramifications of that. So in my yearly forecasts, I've painted a picture for you, where I talked about antitrust, new regulations, companies breaking out, all this discussion about integrity, and then of course also changing outer conditions. So as the whole COVID narrative is kind of falling apart, there's also new narratives in the making already, okay? But the main focal point here still remains, and that is, how are we contributing to whatever narrative, okay? And what is it in our actions, or what are the choices that we have that actually can make a difference? And here, I would like to bring something into your memory. Now, some of you may not be aware of it or too young, but this energy that is coming in here right now, guys, feels exactly the same like the energy that led to something miraculous from my point of view, my personal point of view at the time, because I lived right there. The reunification of Germany. This rebellious energy that is coming in right now is in actuality a reunification energy. So from an energetic point of view, it looks like, like retrieving that was separated, yeah, like kind of gluing it together, but not artificially, like forcing it to go back together, but allowing this innate power of wanting to reconnect. Now take this for your personal journey as well as the collective journey here. It's always a mirror, right? So this deep, deep, deep desire to wanting to connect within and with others. And obviously not without discernment. So we don't want to connect with everybody, right? But we want to connect with that which is of value to us, which defines us in our integrity, which expresses our own essence. And that is what happened back then in '89 with the reunification of Germany, which came about in a very, very surprising way. The day that it was announced that the wall between Eastern and Western Germany comes down was so shocking for all of us, because 24 hours before that, nobody in their right mind could imagine that. Could imagine that, Germany, that was basically due to the ramifications of the Second World War, split up in the middle. Yeah, families split up, wall built overnight through villages. Yeah, that there and basically sort of the stage of the Cold War, right, between Russia and the U.S. and Western allies, that this wall could come down. You have to have a reference feeling for that to understand the power of that energy that is going through us right now. Yeah, this is what we're dealing with. And this time, it's not a reunification, between, say, parts of two states or something like that. I mean, it will obviously play out in some areas on that political level as well. This is about us reuniting with who we truly are. And this isn't just an individual process. This is a collective process, but it has to start within ourselves. We need to really feel what it is. Yeah, that we need, that we want, that matters to us, what our integrity is, yeah, what we truly cherish, what's sacred to us, and be willing to bring this out into the world, into the collective, so that spark then kind of replicates like a virus, like a light virus, like a, positive infection, if you will. Okay. So really what this is about is for you to recognize that you have a choice. Yeah. And the clarity is needed. Sorry for the background noise. And the clarity is needed for you to see what your choices are. Okay. And for that process, you really need to go in and feel into your own integrity. Yeah. And that has to do with accepting the limitations of your own, mindsets, your beliefs. And when I say accepting the limitations of it, I'm not saying, beating yourself up. What I mean is like recognizing that your mind too can be misled. Yeah. And, maybe you can take a little bit of inventory to see how many times this has actually happened to you already in your life. Okay, due to, like, say, a codependent or toxic relationship, yeah, where you were willing to drop things, that you shouldn't have been willing to drop, yeah, that were actually self-destructive or that were against your own needs, yeah. this inventory is essential, guys, because in there you can find the clarity. Yeah, and silent complicity is basically, you know, that what happens to us if we become not aware of this, if our threshold of what we are willing to tolerate, okay, gradually deteriorates to a point where we are honestly just kind of drones, you know, that are just acting out, you know, sort of outer, you know, impulses, where what we put out into this world, you know, this complicity, yeah, is completely unaware to us, yeah, and the inner deterioration of your integrity works through you like an infection, yeah, where you wake up one day and you don't even recognize yourself. And this is something that is going through our collective right now. And this is not a beautiful process, but it is a very hopeful process. Because if you do exactly what this energy also allows us to do, then we see the bigger picture of this and what can come out of this. Yeah. Then you understand how important it is. Okay. So right now in this limbo phase here, where it's all about collective shadow work and, you know, dealing with your own, you know, passivity and complicity in all of this. Yeah. Not all of you were passive, but maybe you were engaged or fixated on the other extreme. Okay, so this can also lead to us meeting the limitations. You know, and as always, you know, rebellion and revolutionary energies, they are kind of destructive if you think about it. Okay, so there's also this aspect of accepting that renewal always comes with taking down the old. So yes, we are dealing with this right now. Okay. And the positive aspect of that is that there is a huge opportunity for manifestation for those of you who begin to understand that they have choices and begin to see more clearly what choices they have. I want to remind everyone that one of the real positive things out of this whole pandemic experience, yeah, is that we need to realize that, you know, what has actually led to mortality, yeah, with a coronavirus, which is normally not, it's not deadly. Okay, the survival rate is 99%. Okay, but what has led to elevated mortality rates is, for one, the fear and the fear porn that we've talked about, and also the bad state of nutrition, the bad state of lifestyle choices. Okay, so this whole vaccination controversy, guys, is just a tip of a much, much bigger iceberg. Namely, how you gradually have been pulled into adopting very unhealthy, destructive lifestyles through consumerism, through consuming products that are not designed to be for your highest good. I mean, they're not necessarily designed to kill you, you know, they just do that. They just happen to do that over time because the motivation behind those, this is like a typical example for a hidden truth, is that it wasn't about you, it was about making money. And it's not that there's anything wrong with making money, but if it's to the expense of the people, yeah, if people being dehumanized in the process, yeah, if the same companies who produce these fast food products, yeah, these packaged cancerous products, okay, also, yeah, market the medication, yeah, to counteract the side effects that you have from all this bad food, yeah, and then offer these beautiful therapies that you can do, you know, to get rid of whatever the ramifications of this kind of lifestyle is. All right, then you begin to see a little more of the iceberg. Okay, so this is all about higher levels of integrity, higher levels of truth, and higher levels of consciousness emerging, guys. So anyone of you who thought that awakening is kind of like a, you know, waterfall and unicorn process, yeah, if you listen to my channel, then you already know this, you've been prepared for this, then you will be disappointed. But if you actually accept the realism of awakening, namely seeing truth, and truth is not always convenient. In fact, it is so inconvenient that we are and have been willing many times in our lives, including myself, every one of us, willing to compromise truth for a different payoff. And that is part of this inventory and part of this trauma healing process that we're entering right now. So if you guys are interested in actively engaging in this, go to my website. I have a trauma healing series that is starting next Tuesday. One session a week, very deep. Obviously, it's an energy healing and training session done remotely from your own home, and then we have a forum where we discuss the sessions, and then we go into the deeper layers of this together, always together, because there's more healing in that. Also, I'm starting the free community event of a detox, a reboot detox. That's a 3-day light fast. It's a community event in our forum where we just support each other and help each other through this. Not a full-on fast, that'd be too much for most of you. Go to my website. You can RSVP for the free community event, just so that you get the links for the forum and that you get the instructions and the recommendations as to how to do such a liquid fast. Just fruit and vegetable juices and broths. And if you really want to work with us, guys, I have a special out there for the Heart Warrior program that might be interesting for some of you, because this is no kidding, guys. This is serious stuff that is coming our way, and if we want to really work through this within ourselves, this isn't like a weekend course, okay? This is serious dedication that we need to building this discipline with ourselves, this cultivating of free thinking and molding, and how we can turn, all these, say, lower pre-programmed, conditioned impulses into conscious choices. I'm curious and excited to be working with you. Many of you are heart warriors already, and I can't even tell you how this has changed my own life, my own practice here as energy healer. To work with a community of people who is dedicated not to me, but to the cause, and the cause being discernment of truth. But not in a sort of trying to prove everybody else wrong and showing conspiracy theories. No, through honest self-healing work. On a level that many of you have never experienced in your life, namely together. This is something that can keep us sane, and can help us as individuals, with these fantastic free minds that you have and these beautiful hearts that you have, to glue all this back together, and to remember who you truly are. This amazing human being that has divine consciousness flow through you via divine Wi-Fi, non-denominational, of course. So guys, good news, but it's not going to be easy this next week or two, watching other people cracking open. That's what it looks like. Guys, I see you again on Wednesday. We had a beautiful energy talk here on Wednesday, so you may have seen this. I've changed my sessions from 11:30 to 12 p.m. Eastern US time. It's in our monthly calendar here. Abigail volunteered to make this beautiful daily sacred self calendar where we have all these online events here on Skype, the daily online meditations and so forth listed. And 12 p.m. gives me a little more time to prepare for our talks. So the energy updates go to YouTube, but the energy talks, guys, that's between us here. So remember, Wednesdays and Fridays, it's with me, Jona Bryndis, talking about energies and discussing them. Love you guys. See you next week.